Hello, hello, hello. My name is Amista, and we're here just to have a little bit of fun tonight. I want to reconnect with some regulars, meet some new people. We're going to do a little bit of Reiki. We're going to do some manifestation advice for over the next 24 hours, and then we are going to do some tarot readings for people in the room. Just little micro readings, not anything big, 5 cards only. But we're just going to chillax, and just kind of have some fun. This is my way of winding down. Of course, when I do a private reading, I'm not really winding down. There's not a lot of chit chat in between. I want to know what your questions are so I can get your answers. But this is a little different setting. This is a lot more relaxed than an actual official reading. For those of you interested in me and everything I do, you may want to check out my website. I do teach classes. I have a newsletter that you might be interested in where I do predictions for every single sign every single week. And I've just got lots of stuff going on all the time. So you guys may want to check that out. And look, there's my energy right there. Pluto energy. So I've got Scorpio. Yes. I've got Scorpio in me. 4 planets, actually. My Sun, Mercury, Neptune, and Venus are all Scorpio. Infinite awareness. Hello, hello, my friend. How are you today? How are you? Right now, we're still at the clearing cards part of this broadcast. After that, we'll do Reiki and then manifestation advice, and then we'll read for people. You're awesome. I love to hear that. I love to hear that. Tell me about some of the awesomeness going on in your day. I'm just going to be happy right along with you for it. Boopity doo 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 doo. Boopity doo 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 doo. Trying to think what else I used on Facebook. If I need to clear any more decks, I think I just need to clear this one. I got a couple of videos uploaded today, so tomorrow Gemini is going to drop, and then the next day Cancer is going to drop. Oh! Oh, wow. I love it that you're able to recognize that her Earth mission was complete. Not everybody can actually look at that and face that. Cheryl Ford, hello, hello, my friend. Hello. Hello, hello. Oops, wrong way. Dee-dee-dee-dee. Dee-dee. I'm still waiting for the awesomeness of today that Infinite is telling us about. We're going to start with Reiki while she's typing. Reiki is going to be for whatever is for your highest and best good for each of you as individuals. If you want something more specific for the Reiki to work on, feel free to go ahead and adjust that intention. Infinite, if you're still typing, all you have to do is set the intention to receive the Reiki anyway. Even as you type, it'll still come into you. Reiki is not limited by time or by space. And just as any other energetic work, intention is the most important thing. That's a long time. So tell me, why is today awesome? Did you find What happened? What happened that was awesome? Because you're talking about something that's a few weeks ago. So now I'm thinking, does she have a kitten today? What is happening? All right, so let's start this Reiki. We're starting it up at 7:05 here Mountain Time. That means we'll be done at 10 after the hour. Amen, Miss Cheryl. Three more minutes. You have two new kitty boys. Yes. Federico and Hector. Aw, so cool. And what sign are you, Infinite? So cool. Aw. I had two kittens at the same time once, but they were about 3 months old and they came from the shelter. I was being a foster mommy. Oh my goodness, those little boys kept me on my toes. They were running up and down the curtains and all kinds of good stuff. Curtains are out of reach. That's good. I love that nod to your Puerto Rican heritage. My curtains were long curtains. Well, my windows were long. I think they went down to like a foot above the floor. And so my curtains just went all the way down to the floor and they would just run up and down. They were like 8 foot long curtains. They would chase each other up and down and across. They were a mess. That's good. You've got relatively good kittens. It is a great way to heal the heart. I think animals are a great way to heal the heart. After my first divorce, I don't know how I would have done without my dogs. I probably wouldn't have ever gotten out of bed. But I knew that the dogs had to go out and that they probably wanted food. So I would get up for them. All right, wrapping up the Reiki. Infinite 8 or Infinite Awareness. Have you ever seen Infinite 888 Tarot? I think is the name of the channel. I'm not sure where that person is from, but I think he might be from Puerto Rico. It's just very interesting that you have such a similar name. All right, so let's see here. Let's see here. Best manifestation advice for everybody who comes across this video for the next 24 hours. Let's see what we have. I love it. You get to have them for as long as they're here. That's awesome. Okay, here we go. Here we go. This is the Dream Raven Tarot or the Raven's Dream Tarot. I always forget. At some point, I should pull out the box. I keep saying that. Excuse me. Can I see it from here? You know what? I'm tired of saying I need to look at the box. I'll be right back. You know, you can only say that you need to look something up so many times before you get sick of yourself. All right, so Dream Raven Tarot. That's what this is called. Don't worry, I'm not going to put it all the way back. You're a Gemini and they're Pisces, so 3 and 12. That could be good. It's 9 signs away. They'll teach you a lot. For better or for worse, they will teach you a lot. I'm big into the Raven. I have been for a long time. I really like the Black Raven. But I don't have any Raven tarot cards with black ravens. I do like the colors on these cards, though. I need to do like a little Amazon wish list, is what I need to do. I do have a buy me a coffee in the description, though. I love that they meditate with you. That's so adorable. Okay, so let's look at our manifestation advice. First of all, we do have the Hanged Raven. Then we have the Magician Raven in reverse, and we have the Lovers Ravens in reverse as well. So, okay, so here's the thing. I have to tell you this story. I used to date this guy who was Native American. And so whenever I would put the leftovers out in the trash or try to put them in the, I can't think of the name. It's not the trash. But it's the garbage that you use for leftovers so that you have mulch for your garden. Anyway, I can't think of the name of that. Anyway, he would see me doing that and he would always say, "You're such a white girl. Why don't you give these to the animals?" Yes, the compost. So is that the same guy with the bars who got in the house? The same guy with the bars? Oh, it is the same one, actually. It is the same one. So he was he would always tell me I was such a white girl because I would get rid of the food like that, and he thought that I should be feeding the animals with the leftover scraps. And so whenever he would come and visit, which was pretty regular there for a while, every time we would eat, he would take the leftovers out to the edge of the driveway and leave them there, and the crows would always come and get them. The ravens or the crows, if they're crows, they're huge, the ones in golden. And so anyway, he would leave that there, and the crows would be the ones that would end up eating them. And if we didn't leave something out, then if the crows got to where they recognized his vehicle, and they would make a big ruckus in the yard until he would come out with some food for them. Hello there, Helga. And so he would come out, they would come out and make a big ruckus. So he would find something in my refrigerator to give them, anything to get them to be quiet. And they didn't do that when his truck was not parked in the driveway. It was only when he was there. And so eventually we got to where we weren't seeing each other that much, and he was not coming around that much. Well, I was being a white girl, as he said, and putting the leftovers back into the compost container. And so there was a point where I went for a walk, and these guys, one of the ravens saw me, and I'm sure they knew I was attached to him in their mind, and so saw me walking through the alley back up towards the house. And the whole way, like soon as I turned onto my street, I had to walk past like 4 houses to get to my house. The whole way, this huge raven thing is like dive bombing my head, to the point I literally had my arms up like this. Because I was like, is he going for my eyes? What's he doing here? He was so PO'd because I wasn't putting out food for him. They did. They knew both of his vehicles. He had a pickup and he used to drive a black BMW. And they knew both of those. They knew those were him. They were pissed at me. They thought I was mean because I was not like him. So anyway, but him putting out those leftovers is why the bear story that you remember happened. Because the bear started coming down the alley for his leftovers that he would put out by the edge of the alley. They are incredibly smart. And that happened like in 2013, 2014. So ever since then, I've known how incredibly smart they are. And they're associated with this idea of going back and forth between worlds, and with picking up intelligence by watching other birds or watching other beings do things. They pick up information. They don't have to personally experience it to pick it up. So they're super smart. Yeah, well, that's part of it. All right, so let's look at our best manifestation advice. We haven't gotten very far yet today. Hanged Bird just basically talks about this idea that there's something that we need to look at from different perspectives. As we're trying to manifest, we want to see different ways of looking at what we are trying to manifest. And I'm hearing we need to be looking at why are we trying to manifest it, and look at different perspectives about what impact manifesting this would have on our life. Magician card in reverse basically says this is not a new thing that we've been trying to manifest. And we've been doing everything that we know to manifest this, but we feel like we're beating our heads against the wall. We're not seeing the responses or the outcomes that we want to see. And so Spirit is reminding us, get me involved, get me involved, get me involved, and then watch what happens. And then we have the Lover's card in reverse. This basically is saying that not everybody in our sphere of influence is going to be on board with manifesting whatever it is we're trying to manifest. And so sometimes we have to release people sometimes because they're not on the same page with us whenever it comes to manifesting something. Okay, so that's what we have. Sometimes if somebody's not on the same page with us on manifesting something, if we can let go of them, then we can manifest what we really want. And if we thought we were going to manifest what we really want with that person and they just kind of disappear, then there's definitely something better, that's a better fit, that's waiting. Okay, that's how that works. Sometimes Spirit protects us from what we want, if we're lucky. Sometimes we get exactly what we want. Infinite 8. You've been hanging out a long time if you remember the bear story, I think. Feels like you have to have been. Okay, so let's see. We've got, looks like just a couple people in the room. If you guys have a question for me, put the question in chat. If you want a message from Spirit, put message from Spirit in chat. All right, so Cheryl's been waiting, just waiting for me to give the word. Cheryl Ford and infinite awareness. I spelled it with letters instead of the number. So Infinite, I'm going to tell you about somebody else that you should watch here on YouTube that I think he's Puerto Rican descent, is very close to your name. It's Infinite 888 Tarot, I think. Now I want to double check that. Hang on. Let me get on my tablet and see. He doesn't always post super regular. But the reason I'm recommending him is because he's a total scream. I love watching this guy. He says everything that I wish I could say in a reading, but I am more I'm more domesticated than him, I guess would be the best way to say that. He's a little wild. Trying to find the last thing that came up in my feed from him. I am subscribed to so many people, guys. You guys can see all the scrolling. Oh, here he is. Infinite Tarot 888. That's what his channel looks like. He's got the owl eyes. Infinite Tarot 888. He will make you laugh your booty off. Some of the stuff that he says, it's stuff that, like, I certainly have heard in the military, but I certainly would not say on a video. I just love him. You know, I think we all admire somebody who can say the things that we can't say. Now, sometimes he's a little all over the place with his readings. I don't know if he's getting a whole bunch of messages at the same time and he's not sorting them out. He's just throwing them all out there. So, to be honest, like, I don't like some people that read, like when I watch their videos, I kind of take what comes up for them pretty seriously. And I like to think that I'm one of those readers. For him, I like to watch his readings just for the entertainment value. I want to see what's going to come out of his mouth next. I don't necessarily take a lot of what he comes up with very seriously. Once in a while, he seems like he's getting some stuff right, but mostly I'm just watching him for entertainment. Boo-ba-da-doo-doo. But I do think he's from Puerto Rico as well. All right, so we're starting with Cheryl. Message from Spirit. Everybody else be on the lookout for a piggyback message. And this is the vice versa tarot, so there is no back. That's why you're seeing all pictures, even when I shuffle. So, what do we have, Cheryl? So you can see, like this card, here's this side, that side. They're all like that. There is no back. And that's what they say in the book. There's no back. There's this and there's that. That is where you see the backs of the people. Usually. All right, so we have the Tower showing up here, covered by my Two of Cups in reverse. Oh, now that's really interesting. Let's start with that, Cheryl. That's really interesting. And it's that side of the tower, because that's this side. You can see that's much more contemporary. This is that side. So the tower's already really cracked. People have already come out of it. This is like the smoke is kind of clearing. It's sort of the next day. We're still getting a hint of what's happening. Maybe the tower's taken another hint. You can kind of see some fire actually in the tower. So this is telling me that you've had some kind of shakeup in your life that was unexpected, but you know, it's not fresh. Like it didn't just happen, 2 minutes ago. It's something that you're already kind of looking at and evaluating and figuring out, okay, where do I go from here? You may not be at the other side of this shakeup yet where you're feeling like, okay, I'm in better shape than I was before that ever happened. But you're kind of in the midst of getting from the shakeup to the recovery from the shakeup. Now, what's interesting here is this Two of Cups in reverse, because I think this shakeup has to do with a person in your life or some kind of relationship where you thought that that relationship was going to be one that was solid, that you could count on, and it kind of came apart at the seams. And so I think what we have here is the Two of Cups is that realization that, that this relationship didn't turn out to be everything that I thought it was going to be, And with the Tower here, it can be fixed. It can be fixed. It's not there yet, but it can be. With my Two of Cups in reverse, though, I kind of have to wonder if you really feel like putting in the energy and the effort to fix this relationship. Maybe you don't. Maybe you're kind of tired. Maybe you will again later. I think maybe right now you're kind of like, I've got other things to focus on too, though. That's where I think you kind of are with this. Now, best advice or heads up around this situation. We do have the Magician in reverse, which talks about this idea that, well, I've tried to bring some kind of reconciliation to this situation, but I feel like I'm beating my head against the wall. I'm not accomplishing anything. So once again, best advice is get spirit involved in that situation. Seven of Wands tells me that it's making you feel kind of vulnerable, like you're the only one sticking your neck out for this relationship or situation, and that makes you feel a little bit vulnerable, like, hey, how come somebody else isn't investing something in this as well? And then with the Knight of Wands coming up in reverse, and it's also that side, this really tells me, once again, I've put a lot of energy and effort into trying to make this thing right, but I'm tired. This says, man, Cheryl's saying, I'm tired, Amista. I've been putting energy and effort in here. I really have run out of ideas. I've tried this, that, and the other. I've run out of ideas about what I could do to put energy and effort into this. Look at this burning bush. Like there's nothing left of it hardly. It's all black down there. There's no leaves even left on this burning bush. I don't have any more ideas about what to do with this. So that's what we have going on here. This idea, it really lines up. These two roads really line up. Like you're just not so sure that you're that interested in making that situation better. This is, I've tried everything I can. What I'm seeing here is like everything that you could do to make the situation better, you've done. Like you can look in the mirror and go, yeah, I can't, I've done everything. I can't beat up on myself on this. The only bit of advice I would say here is ask spirit to get involved, kind of turn loose, back off, ask spirit to get involved. Because I don't think you really have that much of a choice because you don't have the energy to keep going forward with it anyway. Which means if you try to force yourself to, then you're going to be coming at it with really yucky energy, which is going to get you really yucky results. This says, man, step back. Let spirit take control. And then see what happens. But really, like you've done everything you can. It's time to let go. As they say, let go and let God. I hope that makes sense for you. All right, so, boopity-doo-doo. Infinite. Infinite, remind me of your first name, because, honey, I've forgotten it. You are quite welcome. Boop-a-da-doo. And don't beat up on yourself for letting go either, by the way, Cheryl. This is basically Spirit giving you the tap. They're like, do you remember seeing wrestling when you were a little kid? I never have watched it as an adult, so that's why it's when I was a little kid. But remember tap wrestling? Where there's, or maybe it was tag team. I don't know what you call it. Anyway, Two people would be in wrestling each other, and if one person was not doing too well, they would tag the other person would bounce in the ring, that person ideally would bounce out of the ring. Of course, there was some bad behavior sometimes. This is what this makes me feel like. This makes me feel like you've been wrestling against this problem for a while. And this is like giving Spirit the tag, getting the heck out of the ring, let Spirit come in and do the deal. That's the visual I was given on that. Annette, that's right. That's right. Thank you for that. Listen to me telling you that's right on your own name. I would hope you would know your own name. Okay, let's see. Which cards want to talk to Annette today? Let's go with these. All right, so Annette, you're getting some Oracle cards today. Hey, I don't know if I'm going to give 5 cards. Oracle cards. I'm feeling like you need 3 for your message from Spirit. Everybody else be on the lookout for a piggyback message. I don't know if we have anybody else in the room or not yet right now, but if there is, if you guys want me to read something for you, you're going to have to put a question in the chat, or if you just want me to see what Spirit wants to talk to you about, you have to say message from Spirit, one or the other. Uno o de otra. Okay. Who knows how many languages I just spoke there? I'm trying to teach myself Spanish, but I have a little trouble because I know a little bit of French and I know a little bit of German, and my French and my German already get mixed up because they're all in that box in my brain that says foreign languages. I'm afraid Spanish is getting into that box too. Okay. Infinite Annette. Boop-a-doo, harmony. What else do you have? Childlike expression. I'm getting some kind of creativity or artwork for you. Oh, I keep forgetting that camera moved. So that's harmony, childlike expression, and like I said, I'm getting some kind of creative activity there. And innocence. Aw, Annette. I think you've got kids around you, honestly. With this innocence and the childlike expression, it's hard to imagine that you don't have kids around you. The harmony talks about this idea of finding peace, even when the kids are, oh my God, do you have kids or do you have just an immature person? No children, she says. Baby cats, yes, we know. Ooh, is this about baby cats? Maybe it is. That's funny. This is funny. So harmony, to me, this talks about the idea of finding harmony, finding peace, even though there are other influences around us. And we have this childlike expression, and this is finding that harmony and peace through childlike expression, through innocence. I think this is really talking about how the cats are very healing for you. That's really what this is saying. Let's see. Is there anything else that she needs to know about this? Because, I mean, that's... Maybe she didn't think about it, but... What else does Annette need to know about this? What else should we tell her? Boop-a-doo-doo, boop-a-doo-doo. I think we can kind of assume that childlike expression and innocence have to do with the cats, has to do with playing with the cats. I want to see a little bit more about harmony. That's what I want to expand on here. Let's see. I think we're going to use the Lenormand to expand on that. I'm trying to go more free-flowing with how I'm reading lately. Oh, This talks about confusion with the clouds. Then we've got the ring. Confusion about commitment to some kind of trip or travel. Did you have to travel to get your cats? To get the little kitties? Not too far. Here's the thing. I think what's going on here is that an hour, yeah. I think you kind of debated, were they the ideal ones? Remember, you've been looking for cats for a long time. I really think you debated here if this was worth the actual trip. This is different because remember, we know this has to do with the cats and playing with the cats. I think this has to do with the harmony that you found and the healing that you found because of the cats. But I also feel like there was a debate about, was it really worth it to make the trip? Maybe it was like a bad time or something, but there was something here that had you confused about whether you really wanted to commit to that or not. And the harmony here, I think, is your reward. It basically says, this is what tells you, the harmony and the healing that you have now is what tells you the answer to that trip. And I bet you it makes you very glad that you didn't let the confusion about whether you wanted to make that trip keep you from making it. So it's just a little bit more of the picture. The payoff is amazing. The healing and the harmony is amazing. So you want to go to Africa. You know what, honestly, at this point, with everything going on in the world, I'm a little nervous about going anywhere outside the country. And I'm also a little nervous about staying in this country. If that makes sense. That's funny. I've been kind of fascinated by them lately, too. Anybody else in the room that wants a message, say so now or forever hold your peace. Can't believe how quiet it is on a weeknight. You know, it was only yesterday that I started doing different, other than tarot decks, in some of the readings on the live streams. I'm waiting for when Spirit says, okay, get out the runes. The runes want to talk to this person. Although I'm not as experienced with the runes, I feel like I'm still learning a lot there. I didn't used to be afraid of travel. I'm afraid of travel with everything going on in the world. I'm afraid of travel with what I hear about people trying to come back into the United States. I'm afraid of travel because I know that Russia is interested in Africa, so is France. I'm afraid of Eastern Europe because we don't know what's going to happen with Putin soon. Yeah. I don't know. The thing holding me back is I don't know where I would feel really safe right now in the world. I feel like my generation, Generation X, we came up and we have not had any of these problems in the world like are popping off now. And we've always had it really, really easy. And I feel like I've been super spoiled by that. Yes, I think Africa is, but we don't hear about it a lot. You know, and the Middle East is, I mean, it's just, mm-mm, mm-mm. There is a lot that's to facilitate fear for sure, but there's also a lot that is really war where people are dying. like the whole Ukraine thing. I had a dream about that like 2 days before it actually popped off. And that's still going on 3 years later. You're fearless. I'm fearless about a whole lot of things. I probably should work on some of that. Should work on some of that because I am a little bit timid about. It's like I said, I think that our generation, my generation, became really spoiled by the idea that there was mostly peace. It was never perfect because, of course, there was Afghanistan and all that stuff. Before that, there was Vietnam, but that was my dad's generation. But for the most part, we've been living a pretty peaceful life, which has allowed things like science to go forward at a great rate. Social lifestyle to go forward at a great rate, lifestyles to go forward at a great rate. We didn't really have to think about, do I have a victory garden planted? How am I going to survive if, groceries aren't in the grocery store? All of that stuff. And I kind of feel like that is not far from us. And I've also had this feeling for years like we were going to have violence on this land. And that doesn't make me very happy or safe feeling. And I think we're getting closer and closer and closer to that. And honestly, I want no part of it. I want no part of it. I want the world to be back like it used to be. But, the only thing that we know is going to stay the same is that things change. All right. Well, I don't see anybody else asking me to do any readings for them. So I guess it's time for me to get out of here and go see what else I can get accomplished before I go to bed tonight. Yep, me too. Psalm 91, baby. All right. Everybody take care. Peace out.